I woke up in my relationship for 4 years with uncertainty.
After 8 years, we just grew apart.
I used to try to convince myself that everything was okay and it was the right relationship to be in.
We just had different priorities in the end and it wasn't working.
Life is not perfect and neither are we. Welcome to Raw and Unhinged. Lara and Steph will be bringing you real and insightful chats on health, psychology, fitness, and nutrition. Lara is a qualified nutritionist and fitness enthusiast who loves her pizza, and Steph, a registered psychologist, author, and renowned brunch queen. We hope you're ready for today's chat. Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of Raw and Unhinged with Lara, who's in Sydney, and me, who's in Melbourne in my house.
Congratulations, and at least you're not wearing your hat anymore. You've done your hair. True?
No, I washed it, but my roots are still, oh my God, let's not even go there.
I think we should mention this as well, how you're doing a no makeup week. I think it's really cool. So Steph's doing a no makeup week. You can talk a little bit about it.
Yes, so I decided this week, I spoke to my Mindset Reset Challenge group, and we had this really empowering discussion about wearing makeup and feeling like when you leave your house, how other people perceive you, well, when we leave our house for our walk. And I realized I do wear makeup quite often because, you know, I like to present myself in a certain way, but I tested that theory using exposure therapy this week. So I went the full week minus one day without makeup, and I proved myself wrong. Literally, people didn't react differently to me. I was respected on the same level, and I tested those beliefs. So a lot of people, you know, we speak about having to change our mindset, but we also need to change our behavior to validate and test theories that we have and beliefs that we have. So here I am.
That's super cool. Yeah. And I think that, you know, we as a society have such high expectations, you know, when people don't wear makeup, when people wear trackies out, people are always to judge, but I think it's such a big step, you know. I think, like, show yourself. I think it's really important.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
So guys, today's topic.
I'm nervous. I don't want to
be so nervous. I brought it up before and I said, I think we should talk about it because I got a lot of requests from it. We're going to talk about relationships. So we're like boyfriend, girlfriend type relationships, not friendships, but more, you know, more personal relationships, intimate relationships. So Steph, I want to hear a little bit about you because you're a bit nervous. So you need to go first, get it out of the way. So tell me, what experiences have you had? Like, what was your main relationship? Okay. And what kind of made it draw away? Because obviously you're single now, but what kind of was that drawing point as for you as well?
Yeah, this is a touchy subject for me. And I guess it's the part of the area of my life where I feel like I haven't really nailed yet. You know, you see all these power couples and that's what I want. That's what I'm looking for. And I think relationships are challenging because it's not like a job or a business where I know if I put this much effort, I'm going to get this much reward. It's so
different,
dependent on amount of things. And similar with isolation and being here, you can't meet people. And 2020 dating is like,
it's like non-existent. It's like
Zoom. Let's not even go there. And I think so for me, my relationship history, and look, I do keep quite a lot of things private on social media, but you know, everything, like there's so much in my book that I might as well just put everything on the table. So essentially I've been in 2 long-term relationships. One when I was probably 18 to about 20, 22, 4 years, and another 4 to 5 year relationship, which was my most recent one. That ended, which I guess that is a sort of prickly spot for me because there's just so many elements. And this is the good thing that came out of it was that it is going to inspire my next book. But it was challenging because I learned a lot of things towards the end that explained the reason he was the way he was, and it wasn't something to do with me. And a lot of people internalize relationship difficulty. So that's the brief summary of mine. How about yours?
So, well, I'm currently in a relationship, obviously, with Pete. So I moved up to Sydney and we've always been together 2 years, but previously I was in an 8-year relationship. And so, you know, I was straight out of high school. I kind of got into a relationship and, you know, we just grew apart. It was 8 years. I changed as a person, and I know that. I got into fitness. I got into bodybuilding. I got into, you know, nutrition, and I changed. And, you know, my ex also, you know, got into building, was starting a business. So I think we kind of just had different pathways. And, you know, I don't think we should have stayed together as long as we did. I think it was just to be comfortable. And because, you know, I didn't know any different. I was scared. We just both stayed. And I think we kind of both realized that at the end of the day, you know, and we both decided it was the best thing to move on. Yes, it was hard, of course, when you've been with someone for 8 years, your whole life is with them, especially when you grow together, when your parents see each other, when your family, when my sister, you know, says it's literally like her brother, like it's hard to do that to everyone. But at the end of the day, you need to think of yourself, and, you know, moving on was the best decision I ever made. And I look back and, you know, I look at my relationship now, I'm like, I'm so much more happier. Like me and Pete have the same goals as well, and we can work together as a team. We spend most days together, and we, you know, it's totally different. And looking back, you can actually see, once you've moved on, you can see, you know, what kind of was going wrong there and what's going right here. So, you know, that's my kind of story.
Yes. And you've pulled out two things I want to discuss. Number one is, why do we stay in relationships for longer than we should? Because a lot of people, I do a lot of relationship counseling and work, and I guess when I speak to people, you know, what's your biggest regret or what do you wish you changed? It's, I wish I realized sooner, or I knew sooner. So I want to talk a little bit about the reason people stay for longer than they should.
Yeah.
So let's explore that. 8 years, that was double mine, girlfriend.
Yeah. It was very long.
That's almost a decade. What kept you there for 8 years?
I think, you know, it was a security type thing. I was straight out of high school. I was like, I love this guy. And then I think, you know, as my priorities started to change, I started to change, but I still wanted that relationship to be there because, you know, I put so much work into it, and I didn't want 8 years to go to waste either. Like 8 years is a very long time, especially when you go close to their family. Like I said, like my sisters saw my ex as their brother or things like that. He was part of the family. So I think that was also the guilt, and just, you know, I just felt a security as well. And I think it was, you know, I just hit a breaking point. I was like, you know, we're not even seeing each other as much. I don't feel any connection. I'd look at other relationships and compare and be like, no, I used to be like that, but now I'm not. And maybe, you know, maybe we should take a break. Maybe we should do this. And at the end of the day, we both decided it wasn't right time in our lives, and, you know, that we should just end it. And looking back, it was good. But, you know, I think it was just the security and just like, not being vulnerable and having that person there. I think that's why we stay together, you know?
Yes, 100%. You know, as a human, we all want certainty and security. And I think what was different for you is you said, I loved this guy. Whereas for me, I didn't have love as that basis. Like I see a lot of couples, and what I've learned is a successful relationship is not necessarily a perfect relationship, but what they have is this mutual understanding that you are my person. It doesn't matter what we go through. I'm choosing to do life with you because I love you and I accept you, and this is it. I didn't have that base. And for me, it wasn't a bad relationship at all, but I wanted to tick the box. You know me, I've got so much to do on my to-do list. You know, I don't want to have to look for someone. I don't want to have to put energy into that. I just want, okay, I've got a boyfriend, tick. Doesn't have to be anything. Like, you're there, that's great. But now I can focus on my big other goals. So for me, it was a good relationship that served a function that was useful. We got along great. We had a lot of, you know, he was very intelligent. We had a lot of intellectual conversations. But I never felt that certainty from him that, you know, I love you and I want to be with you. And because my life was so amazing in every other aspect, that didn't matter, because it brought the average up. You know, if like the average of my finance was here, the average of my job satisfaction was here, my relationship satisfaction was a bit lower, everything else brought that average up. So it distorted my perception of the quality of my relationship.
Yeah, I think that's kind of what happened to me in the end. You know, everything was moving except my relationship. And I had ticked all the boxes. Like, I had a boyfriend, I was doing well, I was doing this, I was doing that. But at the end of the day, they weren't all on the same level. I felt like my relationship was down here, whereas I was up here. We were both on separate levels. And it was just, you know, it was just really hard. But, you know, like I said, I've moved on, and I always say to you, you know, you're always like, I'm looking for someone. It happens at the weirdest times. Like, even when I got out of my relationship, when I met Pete, I did not want a boyfriend. I was like, no, I want to focus on me. Like what you're doing. I want to focus on my career. I want to do this. I want to do that. And I was just like, nah, like, no, I don't want to borrow you. And then at the
wow.
end of the day, we got together, and, you know, expecting things when you want them to happen doesn't always happen. I always say things happen when you least expect them to. And that's what I say to a lot of my girlfriends. And that's what I say to you as well. You know, things happen when you least expect them to.
Okay.
So I think that's something to remember too.
I will. I'll take that on board. So
I think it's true. You know, I think it's true.
I'll tell you, I'll definitely let you know. I think what's changed for me is I've made a promise to myself after that relationship is I'm not going to, you know, try to mold someone into my desire, because, you know, whenever a guy comes along, we're like, yeah, he's got potential, but girl, you're not dating his potential. You're dating
him.
Reality.
And I think you have, like, I know when you're talking about dating guys, you kind of fit them into little boxes. You're like, okay, he does this, he does this, he does this. Does he fit this box? Does he tick this box? My girl, just give it time. Like,
Yeah.
a break.
Yeah. And do you know what I've realized? I think when you find the right person you have that click with, it doesn't matter if they don't fit into every category, because you love them and accept them. But I guess if you're in a relationship now and you're thinking about whether it's right for you, whether it's leaving, whether you should leave, let's go through, Lara. What do you think the key things are to ask yourself or to look out for? Because I believe the quality of your life is determined by the quality of the questions you ask yourself. And I had to ask myself such really deep and personal and confronting questions before I ended this relationship.
Yeah. Well, when I was back with my ex, people would always ask me, and this is when I knew, people would ask me, when are you guys going to move in together? Are you guys going to get married? And my response was always like, I don't know. But, you know, with Pete now, like, people are like, oh, when are you guys going to get married? I'm probably like, in 2 years, you know, or we're going to get a house together. You know, I just know. I know. Whereas before, I didn't know. I had that uncertainty, you know, and questions like that, whenever I saw them pop up, I was like, I don't know. Like, I'm young, but I'm still young, and I know, you know. I think those types of questions are total game changers, especially when you ask yourself that too.
100%. And the second thing, I think, if you're questioning it, is what will tell you everything you need to know about a relationship is how that person responds to your needs. For me, this was a game changer. Like, 4 years into the relationship, I realized what it was I needed, I wanted. I took him to Tony Robbins. I'm like, if Tony Robbins can't fix that, no one can. So I honestly paid like over $2,500 to try to figure out what it was. And I learned so much. And the second thing was, okay, we got back from Tony Robbins, and I'm like, okay, this is what I need. These are my needs. I'll do anything. Like, tell me what it is. And this is the second thing. You both need to be open to change, and you both need to
it's so true.
change. If one person is growing and professionally developing and the other person isn't, it's never, ever going to work, because it's easier for you to come down to someone's level than it is for someone to rise to your level. So the second thing is, when I brought up my needs and what I needed, I didn't care. I was like, okay, like, well, that's your stuff. And that was the thing. I constantly managed my own mindset around him, and I managed my own feelings around him, because I'm like, oh, I don't want him to have to deal with, you know,
and you'd bring yourself down to his level.
Yeah, I was like, I don't want to.
Forget that.
You shouldn't have to deal with my weird, or you shouldn't have to deal with the fact I had a bad day. So I was constantly self-regulating, self-managing. So he got this perfect version of me all the time. So then 4 years in, when I was like, I'm exhausted, I can't be this version anymore, and I started to be a human, couldn't deal with it. And I was like, you know what, I'm a real functioning human being, and I'm quite a rational person. And the fact that when I expressed my needs to him and he wasn't even prepared to say, oh wow, like, okay, I'll try to be a bit more this way, or I'll acknowledge that a bit more, I was like, do you know what, if you don't care about my needs and the way I feel, what am I doing?
And I've got a question for you as well. Did you ever, like, not tell him things because it would make you look better? Like, would you ever hide things? Like, just say if you achieved something, would you ever not tell him?
I did. I would dim my light on some occasions. Light, because, and I just want to put a disclaimer, he wasn't a bad dude. He was actually a really good, like, nice guy, really smart and all that. But I did 100%. I felt a need to be emotionally perfect, because he was very irrational. He was a rational person. He was that. And I felt worried that, oh my God, he would see me as this like crazy emotional girl, which there's nothing even wrong with being emotional, but 100%, I tried to maintain as much, I guess, you know, healthy functional well-being as much as possible. So he didn't have to deal with that, because I'm like, he shouldn't have to deal with that. But now I'm learning that a true relationship and true love, they accept all parts of you. All parts of you.
Yeah, it's so true. So guys, we're going to wrap it up there, and next episode we are going to talk about ways to deal with coming out of a relationship as well, and also like tips as well, and
everything that comes with it. This has been a touchy one. I haven't even scratched the tip of the
I didn't know we talked about it.
But let us know. What do you think about relationships?
Yeah.
Tell us. We would love to hear it.
Yeah, anyway, guys, we'll talk to you soon. Stay tuned for more.
Until next time.